What's up guys, and welcome back to Pop Beat Breakdowns. Today's breakdown video is all about emotive strings mixed in with a piano ballad. This is one of them production skills which I actually think is quite hard to master, especially as strings when in the MIDI form can not only be hard to get to sound real, but also it's hard to actually build a string section from the ground up. So not only is it emotional, but it's moving and dynamic. So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down a piano ballad with emotional strings. It's a very simple production. As you know, I always like to keep these productions simple on this channel so it's easy for you to follow, and I'm going to be showing you how I built this production, especially from the strings to the ground up, so you can get a better understanding of how to build your string section in your productions, while also at the same time getting another little bit of a tutorial on how to build a piano ballad instrumental. Before I do get into the video, I just want to quickly plug my new sample pack, Epic Guitar Loops. If you're struggling with your productions when it comes to guitar, this sample pack contains over 100 royalty-free guitar samples, from riffs to melodies, plucks, patterns and strums, to help you out with your productions when it comes to adding guitars. And for a limited time, I'm offering 50% off, so you can get the sample pack right now for just $15. So after this video, head on over to samplesbyjoecorchi.com. I'll leave a link in the description to check it out. Let's break down this beat. So the first thing I want to say is this is actually kind of a little bit of a sprinkling of a Christmas beat as well, just because when I uploaded it to my beat store, it was as a Christmas beat, so there's the kind of bells effects, but we can ignore that for the sake of this video. But this is the beat that we're breaking down. Okay, there's loads of different details in here which are going on, because again, as I said, this is a very simple production, but when it comes to building the strings, there is an incredible amount of movement and there's a lot of things I've done to arrive at the sounds that I've got. So let's start with the piano, as this is a piano ballad. Okay, so for the piano today, we're using the Maverick, and we're using the Tranquil Maverick. I actually started using this recently, and I really like it because it's really low, it's really mellow, and it's got this real nice emotional and dark feel to it. So I wanted to use that today. The Maverick, this is Native Instruments, by the way, and we split the piano into two different tracks of MIDI. This is to help make the piano sound a lot more fuller in the mix. So the first section we got, the piano L, I've called it, just separate it out, is basically the chords of the piano, or the main part that you would play with two hands, which is this. The chord progression today is B minor, A, G. Again, very simple. And then I've actually then stacked that with piano R. I've called it, just again, separation, no real meaning behind it. And this is now playing the bass notes. So this covers the full spectrum of the piano, and especially when it comes to the chorus, because you notice in the verse here and the pre's that these don't play. This is only in the chorus because it has a real nice stamp to the chorus. Have a listen to this. Now, when it comes to context, when you listen to the whole production together, it really does make a difference, because all of a sudden the piano is getting jumped to the forefront of the mix. This is a really good thing for MIDI, especially again with MIDI piano. It's really hard to get it to properly stick out in the mix, so I just find this is a really good technique which helps with that. Now we can actually move on to the strings, which is the meat and gravy of this production, as you will. Now, when it comes to building a string section, you've got to understand the different layers to actually building strings. So you have the root, as we call it, so we're going to call this one the root, and then you've got the body. And then you have the melodies. So you've got melody 1, then we're going to have melody, and we're going to call this one counter, melody 2, and there's a reason why I'm going to call it counter. And then we've got the final section, which I like to call the ear candy. So this is the final little touchings on the strings, which really makes it complete and adds something different. For the strings today, I've put them into a track stack. If you ever want to do that, all you have to do is select all the tracks you want to put into a track stack, and you have to hit Command, Shift, and D, and that will then bring up this. So all of your strings now go into one track. For the mixing, I use sample delays on all of them because this doubles them up. Make sure you have an equal split of delay right to delay left when you do this. But this is basically going to take the same signal and jump it out the size of the mix, doubling the size of your string section straight away. Just a little good mixing trick when it comes to strings. Then for the strings, I got a really nice high boost and a low boost as well, because this adds the warmth and the airiness to it, and just cut out the mids a little bit just so the piano has that space in the mix to jump through. And then I've tied it in with just a real subtle bit of compression, which is jumping no more than minus 2 dB. This just really helps glue all the strings together. And then finishing off with a ROM reverb, where we put the size on massive. This is Native Instruments, by the way. This is a great reverb, but adding a reverb to strings just puts them in the room, which gives them a better chance of sounding realistic. Okay, so we started with the root note, which as follows, basically following the bass note. top of that, I've then added in some chords. So for someone who doesn't really know how to build a string section, this is probably where most people would stop when it comes to building strings and thinks that is enough, just adding in maybe like the bass and the chords, but it's not, because there's so much more we can do with this, and these melodies which we're about to add in is what actually creates the movement in the strings, gives them a more humanistic quality, and starts to tell a story with the strings. Okay, so first we've isolated melody 1, let's have a listen to this one by itself. And you notice how simple it is, but just adding in these little extra harmonies when it comes to the chords just gives that little bit more movement. Let's have a listen to this together. It just really helps start to bring a lift to the string section. Now, why is this one called counter melody? Well, this is because we need something going against the current melody that we've got. So the best way we can actually show this is by comparing the patterns that we've got in these two melodies and the counter melody. So you will notice here that the melody follows this pattern here. It's a wavy pattern, up, down, while on the other hand, the counter melody is doing the complete opposite as to the melody. That's why it's called the counter melody. And you can see here, while the melody is descending here in the counter melody, it's ascending, and then they do join in together for the middle section here just to add a nice little bit of harmonizing halfway through the section. Again, this adds something different, even more so. And then when we get to the end of the melody, you can see while this one's going down, this one's going up again. And this is the whole idea behind the counter melody and creating movement in a string section. If you could have two melodies doing contrasting things, this adds development, adds something interesting to the string section. So let's have a listen to all this so far with the strings. Just like that, it feels like the string section is telling a story. Simple but very effective. And then lastly, we have the ear candy. Now the ear candy for this, I wanted to add something different over the top, something that would stand out and have any listener going, oh, that's cool, that's different. And I actually went for something even more simple today. Have a listen to this. Again, sounds very simple on the outside, but when you put it in context with the rest of the string section, it sounds like this. It just adds something different. Staccato strings, basically just a different style of playing the violin, but it adds that variety again to a string section to make it a lot more interesting, a lot more complex, and have more layers to it. And this is how you can really build your string sections to be really interesting and engaging to a listener. So when you listen to this all together, we'll even chuck in these little bells that we did as well. I'll give you a quick listen to them. Not that they're very interesting, it's just a bell playing basically an arpeggio and then a tambourine to make it a little bit Christmassy. But when you put it all together, this is the production that you get. So there you go, guys. That's how to build an emotive string section in a piano ballad. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, smash the subscribe button as the best way to support the channel, and make sure you never miss a video like this. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep making music, and I will see you in the next video.